Welcome, welcome, welcome. A little bit of a smirk in the background, G, because my phone is ringing in the background now too. Being a solopreneur.
Oh my goodness.
The lives we lead.
Oh, Kenneth, hi. Hey, everyone.
It was great when G and I set this up. We had no idea we were going to be part of Brenda Meller's discussions this past Saturday. So it really worked out well. And if you missed that recording and you sign up, you can definitely listen to it. G and I have known each other for a really long time. And we've had the chance to, over the years, network and have conversations and really just kind of brainstorm about things. So, I mean, what I wanted to start is maybe, G, talk a little bit about what you talked about on Saturday, just so people have a sense, because I know I was trying to listen to as much as possible behind the scenes, and I know you were probably trying to listen to a little bit of it too. So I think that might be helpful from a perspective standpoint as to what you were talking about.
Absolutely. So, hi, everyone. I'm Gehan, Haridy-Ardanowski, if you're wondering about my crazy name. And yes, Kenneth's terrific and very glad to be here today. So on Saturday, he and I had an opportunity to participate in what was called the Working But Looking WBL Live-a-thon. It was not on LinkedIn. It was actually through StreamYard. So there's sign-up links in my in various posts that I've done. I did one today. Kenneth did one today. So go back and check the replays. It's phenomenal information. So Kenneth was part of a panel, and I actually had an opportunity to talk a little bit about my passion topic, which is Clifton Strengths, aka Strengths Finder, and how that has worked for me over the years, and what that means in terms of finding a dream job, and really just about knowing yourself first, leaning into your strengths, and making that apparent in all facets of your life, especially on LinkedIn too, because LinkedIn is really where it's at, and bringing our best selves and our truest shine and all that authenticity to the mix, and really knowing ourselves is where I was going with that. But yeah, 10 minutes, honestly, Kenneth, it was, I'm sure you could tell, I could have talked forever. It's a topic that's really important, but yeah. So that's the gist of it. But yeah, it was great. It was a great show.
Why is it so important to you? I mean, what is it about the topic that really resonates with you?
Well, for many reasons. So I joke with people, go to my LinkedIn profile if you're curious, who is this crazy redhead that's talking to Kenneth today, if you don't know me. I've had quite the topsy-turvy journey. I laugh about it a lot, and thankfully people laugh along with me. But over the past 20 plus years or so, I've had all kinds of different positions. I've been laid off / termed, however you want to define it, at least 6 times. I've also voluntarily quit other positions, toxic environment, wrong fit, whatever you want to call it. So throughout all of that, though, in the earlier part of my career, I didn't really understand why I was misaligned with things until I started doing Clifton Strengths. And I did that about 10 years ago. And if you're not familiar, that's the Gallup top 5, if you will, that you hear about a lot. So Strengths Finder. And when I took that assessment, it really opened up my eyes to who I am, what I'm good at, and what I'm not good at. And I use my PwC analytical role, or financial analyst, is a great example of spending 2 years doing spreadsheets and working in a position that was not suited for me. I was misaligned with it. Amazing firm. I will forever be blessed for it. But the role itself was not for me. It was that whole square peg, round hole type thing. So there's a lot more to that, but that's the gist of it. So it's passion. It's a passion for mine, because I really think that people miss the mark in their job search. They keep going after the same thing over and over, and you're nodding. You get it.
I'm nodding because I see the same thing again and again. And, I was actually doing a couple of posts about this, because for me, the biggest challenge is, as you said, people do the same thing again and again, but they don't know better. They don't realize what they have to do differently. And I actually did a couple of posts today, the last couple of days, about it. And sometimes it's just the idea of the unnecessary words on the resume. Sometimes it's the accomplishments as opposed to the history. And sometimes, and this is what I really wanted to ask you about, a lot of the resumes I see, they're thrown together with the most recent job. They put 2 bullet points, and the other jobs, they have 5 or 6 bullet points, because they've really thought through the past history, but they throw something together because they have this need to throw something out there to the universe, as though another day or a week or so is going to make a difference. And I can see them. I'm not a resume expert, but as I said to a resume writer, I can see that stuff from a mile away. It's like, I know pretty obviously what you're doing. So really just think it through. And when you work with people, do you see something similar that you can tell pretty quickly that they've just thrown something together versus having something that's been well thought out?
Well, one big key indicator, I'm sure you'll appreciate this, are those buzzwords that you see the same things repeated throughout resumes sometimes, responsible for, executed XYZ. And basically it's repetitive information. I catch that a lot. But yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb, and I've shared this before with people, and also to go back to my background a little bit, I have a 20+ year background of HR and recruiting. So I've seen it from 80 different sides of the table, if you will, consultant and internal employee, et cetera, just for some context. But when I've talked to people about their resumes, and I know I've been this way with mine, the one thing that people really need to be mindful of is to ensure that they keep their information up to date in real time. And with resumes, again, I'm not an expert with it, but those actionable items that they do throughout their careers are important. And sitting and scrambling at that last minute to try to throw together those key points, it doesn't work. And a lot of that too, to coincide with this, Kenneth, and I don't know if you're going to touch on this at all, but also, your LinkedIn is not meant to be your resume.
Right,
I don't know if would you agree with me on that? Like, because and I've seen, and it's funny that we're kind of touching on this a little bit, but I've seen differing views on it. My LinkedIn profile has been what sold me over the years. But if you look at it, I only have a couple of, key points in each of my roles. I don't think people are going to my LinkedIn profile to see 80 years of, 80 different bullet points of the same transactional whatever.
What I find is that two things. First of all, there's no use. The about section is very underutilized in so many different ways. Forget about the formatting, anything else. You can't tell a lot of stuff in there. And the heading as well. It's very underutilized because a lot of people don't realize what they can do, and the other things kind of come into play. But again and again, I see a resume as a LinkedIn profile. And that's what people have been taught. And for me, it's kind of frustrating because that's what they've been taught and it's not right. But you have to show them why it's not right. It's not just because I say or you say it's not right. It's like, tell me about yourself, but tell me what's in it for me as a job, as an employer. I don't want your history. I mean, I can read your history on a resume. And that's a little bit counterintuitive for people. It's marketing yourself. I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I agree 1,000%. 1,000%, Kenneth. And it goes back to the value that we bring as candidates, right? And so it's how do we help? And by the way, I'm not a big fan of the word help. I'm trying to get past that, but I guide. That's why even in my own headline, I use the word I guide, or I align, or I do the helping piece. That's another topic, but it's really, how are we, serving that employer, whether it's as a temp, as a full-time permanent, I use air quotes, however, whatever capacity you show up as, you're bringing value. And it's very imperative to know what your value add is and how to sell it to people. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Especially, even in later, points in our career, it's okay, here we are. And I don't want to use the term, I hate using imposter syndrome, but a lot of times people don't want to speak to themselves. It's like a confidence thing. It's imposter. Have I really done this? And I always go back to that. Sell yourself because it's confidence, not arrogance, if there's validity to it. That's what I really try to get people to understand. If you've, I was sharing with you earlier, my last several roles have been found as a result of LinkedIn. They haven't been a result of, going into an ATS and sitting for 6 hours a day applying to roles. I can speak to that because it's very much in fact true. It's through LinkedIn, it's through networking. That's confidence because it's true.
And I build relationships.
So don't embellish if you don't have it, but lean into the things about yourself that are really important for people to understand. That's what's going to set you apart. And that's what employers are going to look for.
So I wonder about, and I get this question all the time, why are people so afraid to post? What is it about this mindset that people just are afraid to take that first step? Whether it's fear of failure, whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's I don't have anything to say. I get that again and again. And it's like, it's really not hard to do it, but there's so many things that enter into it. So what do you think?
You know what? It's that I will tell you. Even behind the scenes, I did a poll at one point, and sometimes with my polls, I'll reach out because I want more specifics as to why the people don't even comment, on why they're. Because I ask for comments in response to a poll, like, oh, please share comments. They're not sharing comments. Like, why don't you post? Why don't you do these things? And everything you just shared, that's exactly it. But on top of that, though, too, it's also fear of employer. It's oh my gosh, my boss is going to see him on LinkedIn. They're going to think I'm looking for a job. And Kenneth, that is a whole entirely separate conversation. I mean, employee advocacy and employer branding and all that, that's a whole other bear in itself. But, the one thing, and I just heard this earlier too, and I think I just heard this earlier with Jillian, Kevin, Tina. They did a live a short while ago. And they were talking just about, showing up to LinkedIn and, being consistent. And what the misconception is that people feel, that they need to post something and then they don't do anything. It's that inaction. They're stuck in analysis paralysis because they don't necessarily know how to post. They almost need to be led there. But start with comments. So, for example, look at all of the comments that are coming through right now, right?
Exactly.
Even just being here and engaging with people, you are becoming visible. And people are seeing you. They're going to click on you. It's like being in those audio rooms. That's why having a very robust headline is imperative nowadays, because when you're in an audio room, I'm not immediately going to click on, specific, heads, if you will, because their title might not align with what I'm looking for. So for instance, I'm not necessarily looking, to engage with people who lead with X title or X anything. But if you have a really catchy, hey, I can grab your attention with the number of letters, I think it's like 40 to optimize in your headline for visibility. That's important. And those are the things, all of them aligned. It's the commenting strategy. It's the posting strategy. It's the engagement, the about section you mentioned, right? Right. Because people have, 2,600 characters, I think it is.
I think it's 2,600 characters, yeah.
And you can guess how many I use in mine. I think I'm right up there. But my point being, take advantage of the tools, especially if you're using the free version for however long that lasts.
And I'm going to actually put a few comments up here. Great point, G. Comments is where it's at. I have met most of my connections in the comments.
There's some great people in the chat. Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
And I see Leslie's out, and Leslie's amazing. She does a live show that I catch at times with Melissa Cohen, and they're and not only do they do a live show, they go back into the comments afterwards and engage. And
that's a good thing. I highly recommend everyone do that. Go back into the comments, reach out to people. And I have what I love about all the people here is we all talk about getting together in real life, which is the best part of all.
Which we just did earlier. Yes, we were just talking about.
We were just talking about that, trying to get together in real life, because that's a big part of it. Because yes. I'm looking this year. I made this my thing to meet a new person every day, and so far I'm pretty much on track for that. And I don't mean just family members. It's just getting together with people, because I think it's so important to have that engagement for sure. Yeah. What I love about doing these, and I don't know if I shared this with you or not, end of April is going to be my 200th one. 200 LinkedIn Lives.
I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah. What are you doing for it? Do you have a special?
Well, here's the thing. I'm sort of planning it out now, because it may be over a couple of weeks, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, because, I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld and saw the final episode or not.
No, I didn't see it. No.
Basically, they brought all these characters from previous episodes of Seinfeld to come there. So part of me is thinking maybe I should have all the speakers come on for a couple of minutes or something and just chat about, do you remember when we talked about this? Remember when we talked about that? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
But just the idea that I could not believe that if this started during the pandemic with a couple of people just having a call, and look what it's evolved to. And I've met so many great people, and I keep looking to meet, and I want to meet you, G. I mean, what goes without saying. I mean, I have to figure out how I'm going to get down to Texas. I don't know how close you are to Kevin Turner. I don't know how close.
Nearby. Oh, we've met before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're actually, yes, Kevin D. Turner nearby. Jillian's in Vegas. She's a stone's throw away. I'm in Dallas, Texas. So North Dallas area. So I know we need to do something big at some point here.
Well, apparently I have FOMO about New Orleans here because of what Rachel and Brendan are doing.
I know.
Like,
so shout out to them.
Hint, hint. But we will definitely do something. But it's just the idea that we feel part of a community, and everyone here can feel that way. I think the most important thing is when you're on LinkedIn, you are part of a community. And my big ask is when people connect with me, try to be as specific as possible.
Yes.
Because you brought up the help thing before. There's lots of things I can do, but at the same time, I'd like to be as specific as possible, know how I can help you. And sometimes, it's a little thing, and I think I know what my sweet spot is, and my sweet spot is not resume writing. I'll be the first to admit that. But I know someone who can help support that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. And, it goes back to, even should we talk about the open to work really quick? Do we want to touch on that?
Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about open to work. Let's beat that one to death, but no. And
Sure.
And for context, Kenneth and I were talking just before the show. And what was really great about it is we're pretty much aligned on, use it. There's a way to do it with intention.
Yes.
The open to work banner, for those who, if you have been living under a rock, you might not have seen it, but the open to work, the green banner, the circle that's been out there now for going on 4 years, it's a hot topic. And there's loads of debates on whether or not people should use it or not. And I'm pro open to work banner if used strategically, and there's a way to do it. And it's, making very specific asks of your network and sharing your value add when you're doing the post, and not necessarily having to keep it up for the duration of your being open to work. It's just a matter of getting the messaging out. But yeah, that's my 2 cents in a nutshell. And that's a very abbreviated version of what I could go on and on about.
My thing is, as a consultant, I'm open to work anyway. So I'm going to leave it up as a consultant.
Yep.
Different thing. I mean, I've seen how it works on the back end when people get notified that you put the banner on. I'm just not sold from a job seeker perspective how beneficial it is. But again, I only know what I know. It doesn't hurt. I know that, Tegan and I were having a little bit of a spirited discussion about it, which is absolutely great, because I love to get other viewpoints about that. I'm very open, pun intended, but I'm very open to getting comments from people about what's going on, because I only look at this from one viewpoint, and it doesn't make it the only one for sure. I'm looking over here at different comments here. I'm going to scroll through here.
Wow, you've got a great audience.
My favorite LinkedIn title ever. So it's awesome copyright. I didn't know it, but click through for sure. I mean, I gotta tell you.
Can I tell you 2 of my faves?
Go ahead, absolutely.
Which I love that. Which I wish I could be that bold. But you gotta love relentlessly helpful, right, John Asperian? But then you also have to love Andy Footspin. That, like, the reassuringly expensive, I think, is what he is. Andy Foot's amazing. There's so many amazing people on this platform. We could talk forever just about giving shouts to people, but there's some headlines out there, and that goes back to our uniqueness, right? Part of our strengths. 1 in 33 million people, by the way, that likely have the same top 5 of those 34 Clifton Strength Talent themes in the same order as you. So, quick statistic, and if you are not familiar with it, go to gallup.com, do a quick Google search on Clifton Strengths if anyone happens to have the link. But it's $25 to take the top 5 assessment. I'm not an affiliate, but I can preach forever on the topic. But going back to incorporating some of that uniqueness into your headline and into your about section. How many times do you have to read bullet points in your about of, experienced in ... seasoned, really seasoned. Let's not even talk about seasoned, but you get the idea. The language that becomes stale and doesn't really share who you are. Like, we want to know who you are and how you're different and unique. That's my big thing. So
the upshot here. So on open to work, what is the verdict? Do you believe it hurts candidates looking for roles that are not gainfully employed? My answer is it probably doesn't hurt, but it's not going to help in and of itself. I mean, you can do a search on LinkedIn for open to work and find all the people that have open to work posts and things. And Linda, several people I've worked with have gotten jobs because they had the banner up.
Thank you, Linda. Yes.
One person had no contact reach out. I mean, it does. None of this hurts, but if you don't let people know that you're open to work, they're not just going to see it by osmosis. I mean, we make certain assumptions. And so it doesn't hurt to put it on, but it's not the only thing. You mentioned before, I actually decided to actually call myself an introvert at heart by my name from now on, not just Kenneth Lang, because this is who I am. So I might as well just own it. And it'll be part of my strategy going forward. And people have a hard time believing I'm an introvert, but I am. Total introvert. Scared to death of doing these.
But you're good at it, though. I mean, it works for you. It's led you to where you are, and and you have a really good heart too. So even just you're saying it with a smile, like you're proud and you're owning it. That's what people need to do. Like I own the fact that I've been in transition 80 times, not really, but like I lean into the fact that I have all these amazing stories, but as a result of it too, I have the best network. I have the most amazing, network of previous colleagues and bosses and friends. And I'm very blessed for that. And so the things that, we think, might be a bad thing, they're actually the thing that makes us endearing to others.
I mean, I'm looking forward to, I don't know if you know, Kerry Barrett used to be an NBC News reporter a while ago. And now she's gone off on her own, but she is as introverted as me. And she talked about being a reporter on air, being scared to death doing these news reports, but she kind of pushed her way through. And now she's got a video business. But, we all are who we are. And this is a very good comment. There's a difference between being an introvert and being reserved. Put me with my family, and I'm not an introvert. Far from it. You probably don't want to be around me at times. But put me in a room or going to a networking event and I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Anything but that.
And people might be surprised to hear this about me too. I mean, I love meeting new people. I really enjoy networking events, but they drain me. I'm an ambivert by nature. I'm in taking Myers-Briggs, I've always tested as an extrovert, but I don't feel that about myself. I'm very, very happy alone. I am very, I get energy though from people, and I love being around people, but I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't need to be that anything. So I'm an ambivert. I'll just leave it, there. But but like I said, it's the thing about yourself that, again, introvert at heart, it just makes us like you even more. You're owning that,
Absolutely. And I'm the first to admit that. I mean, I joke about this, but it's true. I mean, in the family, it's like I don't respond to texts and things right away because I'm just like, I don't want to. Kind of assume that you guys know what I'm talking about. That's just owning who I am. But being on LinkedIn, it gives you an opportunity to be an introvert, but put yourself out there. To not be afraid to make mistakes. This is not like you're going to get this, this comment like, why'd you say that? I'm taking it down. You have something as valuable to say as anyone else. And I was trying to think, how did we first meet, G? And I keep thinking again and again, how did I meet everyone? Because that's like that's a part of the journey.
You know what? Without going back through our DMs, I'm going to have to take a guess. It might have even been during the pandemic. So say around 4 years or so ago, Brenda's job search,
Right.
maybe one of her calls.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking a stab at this, but yeah, I mean, but we go back a few years, and there's this platform has been so much to so many of us, and you nailed it right there about stepping out and not being afraid to start engaging and commenting, and people need to understand that every one of us has started somewhere. Every one of us. And, do it tastefully. Don't be that guy. Don't be that sales pitch guy that's going to stalk in a matter of seconds after connecting. But people want to meet you. You never know where these connections can lead. That's the thing.
And you bring up a good point, because we get these pitch slaps all the time, and I get them all the time too. People connect and and that's a term I think Rachel Simon came up with. It's like right away you get connection requests, and they send you a pitch right away. And I've gotten to the point where I don't even connect with some people anymore because I know where it's going to be happening. And ideally, I wish LinkedIn would do something about it, but they're not. So you just move on from that.
Okay, can I ask you a question? May I ask you?
Absolutely.
Okay, your LinkedIn wish list. If there was one thing that you would love to see, especially because you do these shows, like call it your 200th episode
Yep.
birthday gift? Like what would that be? Or anniversary gift? What would that one gift be for you? What would you love to see happen?
I would love to see my inbox set up like an Outlook inbox. I would like to see things automatically go to those inboxes based on some criteria.
Like a filtering, yes.
Like the filtering.
Yes.
And I could just have them thrown in there. And it's not hard to do. I mean, yes, ideally, I'd like to have them determine what's spam and what's not spam, but that's just not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Just like developing the platform is not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see a filtered inbox, personally.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
You know what? I'm with you on that as well. And I would actually have to say that's pretty much up there. I would love to see, I guess, better communication overall. I would love to know, have that heads up on when things are going to be going away, it coming directly from, my wish list, of course, is, LinkedIn sends out all these fluffy messages and notifications to the masses. It doesn't, we love you, LinkedIn, by the way. I'm probably going to get booted off.
No, we all love you. We all love you.
But
and I've started putting the sign with my LinkedIn name because of the top where it says aligning your LinkedIn strategy, because of some pushback. People have gotten pushback for not having that sign next to the name.
Oh, the trademark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to give the respect on here. And it's, it's a platform that served me very well over the past many years, going on 16 years now. And I've been fairly active throughout. I mean, earlier on, of course, I probably stumbled my way through. I went back through, I don't know if you've ever done this, Kenneth, but going back through really early posts. And I'm laughing because, I mean, my one line, back from 2010, 2011, like my one line of, look at this event, check this out, repost of a repost or something.
I mean, I would also love to see the messaging done much better
Yes.
than the inbox, because at one time I probably have 11, 12, 13 group messages going on.
Yes.
And it just gets, I mean, I don't know the way around that. Ideally, but I know that the filtering inbox would make a lot of sense. I don't want to think about where things are. I don't want to worry about moving things. I want to have the ability. I mean, ideally, I'd like to be able to flag my connections first, second, third in terms of priority. Some other way to do that. I mean, again, LinkedIn, if you're listening, I'm available. A lot of us are available. We're happy to help. Do whatever we can to make this a platform better, because there's so much. I'm looking at this comment from Julie here.
I was just seeing that too.
How do you promote conferences to people you don't know without sounding like spam? I'm exhaling because I think the question is, it depends. What's the conference, and who are you promoting it to,
and how often? Exactly. It's knowing your target audience. Have you previously engaged? I'll give you a great example. I had someone, I want to say about a year or so ago, had never engaged with me and consistently sent me notifications for their updates and their conferences and their speaking engagements. And finally, I don't think I blocked them. I think I unfollowed or something. And eventually they went away. I forget exactly what happened, but it was the biggest turnoff. And it was probably one of those invites that I, against my better judgment, probably accepted. It was a generic invite, and thanked them and said, thank you so much for sending me an invitation. Look forward to hearing more from you. Never hear another word. Instead, I keep getting slammed with, hey, attend this conference, attend this. So there's a way to do it. It's not to consistently, she's asking. Oh, I thought she was just asking in general. No. I'm sorry. I don't know, Julie. I'm sorry.
I would still, there are probably some agile groups that you can actually post this in on LinkedIn for sure. If you send it to people like myself, we can definitely add it to our list of events. Or you can even post it as a post that you have this event coming up. I mean, a lot of what we do is all a little bit of this and that. Now, in the interest of time, Merrill Cass, we actually met 13 years ago almost. Diane Young at DeVry in Paramus. Now, Diane Young, she actually formed a group called the Unemployed Optimists at the time. Really cool name. A bunch of people got together, and we just had a presentation there. But the point is, I've known Merrill now going on 12 plus years, and we've just stayed in touch. And, I've made a lot of friends over the years, and people that I'm going to make as friends, for a while. But even you and I having chats, we stay in touch all the time. We go to the similar events. We brainstorm different things. For me, the biggest thing is there's things that LinkedIn can do and LinkedIn can't do for whatever reason. That's the whole basic versus premium discussion. And that could take us in a whole different rabbit hole.
Well, Kenneth, I hope you're going to post when you're going to have a big group gathering out on the East Coast, because if I can make it, I'll be there with bells on.
Well, I'm told that Brenda was kind of like, we were talking about a barbecue or something, maybe this coming year. I don't know, honestly, because I was kind of left out of this whole thing in New Orleans. So I'm a little bit jealous of that. So I know that Beth Granger, we're trying to get a bunch of things together. I mean, now that the weather's warming up. So if anyone wants to join us or figure it out, last year, this just became a conversation with a couple of people. Now, just so you know, G, I'm 6'5". I don't know if you ever realized how tall I was.
I didn't realize that tall. I knew you were taller than I would have thought, but I didn't realize your exact height.
That was the great thing about meeting in person. We were just like, Bobby Umar and I are the same size. We didn't realize that till we got together.
Oh, that had to have been fun.
It was.
There's so many quality people, and even in the chat, if I can just, I know.
Sure, absolutely.
How much time do we have? Are we over time? I think we're
No, we're not over time. As long as we want to make it.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say something really quick too, because I'm just seeing some of the names coming through in the chat. And hi to everyone who I know, and thank you for supporting me, and to those who've been here today. I just want to say thank you, but also engage with the people in the chat and click on everybody's names. Like, I'd mentioned, for example, Leslie earlier, she and Melissa Cohen, both amazing people on this platform. Brenda Meller popped by. I saw her name at some point. Linda Brubaker from Saturday. I saw her name pop up, and I know there's others in there, but that's the point. Just be sure to connect with people on here and engage, and, stay in. And the thing is, though, don't just click connect. I saw you on this. Be intentional about it. Don't connect unless you actually see something in their profile that resonates with you. That's my 2 cents.
And if there's a topic you want us to discuss, don't be afraid to ask. Ever. We don't bite. None of us.
Leslie says, Kenneth Ling, let's get G to New York. Yes. I was just telling my husband last night I want to get to New York.
We can absolutely do that.
Yes.
And I saw Meryl said maybe we'll bring pie for dessert. New York, we can bring you some bagels. We tried to do it last year with a tour of LinkedIn too, and maybe we can do another tour. That just was an amazing day. And Liam came up, which was cool.
Yes.
We'll have to plan something out, I think, now with the weather.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'll be great. But anything else you want to chat about? Because I want to also be respectful of your time.
I mean, just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. And also thank you for joining in on Saturday. Do not forget that the replay is still available, folks. So if that's the plug for the replay, I'll just do the plug for the replay. Loads of goodies, freebies, giveaways, everything in that replay. So go click on Kenneth's. You had the link in the post. Right?
I had the link, and I'll repost it later on, because even though the event's over, you can always register and get the replays.
Yes.
And there's so much amazing content. We all love paying it forward. And we also, as I posted, we're all going to get together and just stay in touch. That's the best part of it all. We were all just brought together, and this is what we love to do.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%. And yeah, just, thank you everyone for having me today. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate it.
Now, next week, I'm going to have Marisol Hanley, who does recruiting for Recruit for Veterans, which is going to be a very interesting conversation. Because a lot of people don't even know where to start with that. We have had a couple of conversations over the years. So again, but if you guys can think of different topics, we're going to talk about unemployment law later on, which is going to be cool. Multi-generational things. I get these ideas from all you guys. I'm not that intelligent to kind of figure this out.
Well, you are, but you're just being modest. So.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.